We usually define a gamer through a specific set of physical traits: high-speed reflexes, precise finger movements, and perfect visual acuity. The entire industry is built on the assumption that these abilities are the standard starting point. But that assumption ignores a massive reality. Millions of people live with disabilities that don't align with that default profile, effectively hitting a wall before they can even pick up a controller. For years, developers have treated accessibility as a luxury, a list of optional features to be considered only after the core game is finished. To understand the depth of this exclusion, we have to look at the invisible obstacle course a player must navigate before they ever see a press start screen. Until these systemic barriers are dismantled, gaming remains an exclusive physical privilege. The journey begins at the digital storefront. Currently, finding a playable game is a financial gamble for disabled players. Without clear, standardized labeling, there is no way to know if a game supports a player's specific tools until after they've paid. Platforms need dedicated, permanent categories that group games by their accessibility features, making compatibility clear from the first click. This shift moves the burden of research away from the player. It ensures that accessibility is a part of the experience before the software even launches. Even with the right game in hand, the hardware itself presents a second roadblock. For visually impaired players, the console's operating system must include a built-in screen reader. Without it, simply changing a setting or joining a friend's lobby becomes impossible. But these tools face a constant threat, known as software rot. Every few months, consoles receive mandatory firmware updates. These patches keep the system secure and improve overall performance. If the accessibility software isn't maintained alongside the rest of the system, it begins to degrade. Features that worked yesterday might break today, leaving players locked out of their own hardware. Engineering teams must ensure that screen readers are updated in lockstep with the core system patches. Maintaining these features requires ongoing labor. It's a continuous technical commitment rather than a one-time fix. When a console interface fails to stay accessible, the most inclusive game in the world remains effectively unplayable. The final hurdle is the physical act of control, translating a player's intent into an in-game action. Standard controllers are designed for a specific two-handed grip. For players with limited mobility in their limbs, this rigid design makes even basic gameplay impossible. This is where specialized hardware, like eye-tracking technology, becomes essential. These systems map a player's gaze directly to the game's inputs. It replaces the need for physical dexterity with visual focus, allowing a player to aim or move using only their eyes. These adaptive controls demonstrate that the limitation often resides in the hardware's rigid design. When the interface is flexible, the physical barrier disappears. We are beginning to see a shift in the industry. More developers and manufacturers are actively listening to the disabled community and building these tools into their flagship products. A note of caution, but progress isn't a finish line. A few high-profile settings menus don't mean the work of structural equality is over. The goal is to move past the idea that accessibility is a charitable favor. It should be a baseline requirement for every piece of software. For gaming to be truly open to everyone, developers must consider these diverse needs from the very first day of production. Removing these invisible obstacle courses ensures that gamer is a title without physical prerequisites. It turns play into a shared experience that finally includes everyone who wants to